When Franklin Delano Roosevelt walked through my doors in March of 1933, he brought with him a voice like velvet, a smile full of reassurance, and a depression deep enough to swallow a nation. Banks were collapsing. Unemployment had broken the spirit of millions. Bread lines stretched longer than my East Room. Herbert Hoover had tried everything he knew, and America sent him packing with the speed of a foreclosure notice. Then came FDR, calm, confident, charismatic. He declared a bank holiday before he even unpacked. It sounded festive. It was not. The entire banking system was frozen while he and his advisors figured out who was solvent and who was just renting vault space. Then came the fireside chats, his radio voice echoing through my halls, telling Americans everything was under control, even when it wasn't. In those first 100 days I was flooded, not with guests, but with agencies. CCC, AAA, TVA, NRA, PWA, an alphabet soup of federal inventions cooked up at full boil. My staff couldn't keep up with the acronyms, much less the policies. The National Recovery Administration, NRA, quickly began fixing wages and prices across entire industries. Roosevelt's people thought they could end the Depression by having businesses cooperate like polite schoolchildren. What they got instead was confusion, cartels, and price fixing that smothered small businesses and kept unemployment high. Some employers wanted to hire. But the new wage rules made it too expensive. Regulations multiplied. Paperwork piled up. I swear, even my furniture was under review. Then there was the AAA, the Agricultural Adjustment Administration. The plan? Pay farmers to destroy crops and slaughter livestock to raise prices. Yes, during a national food crisis. I watched in horror as perfectly good food was plowed under, dumped, or burned, all to manipulate prices while people starved in the cities. FDR also doubled taxes, especially on high earners and businesses. Revenue acts hit corporate profits hard, just as they were trying to stay alive. Government spending surged, but not enough to offset the damage from heavy regulation and frozen labor markets. It wasn't laissez-faire. It wasn't Keynesian. It was improvisation, well-dressed and well-intentioned, but chaotic all the same. By 1937, after 4 years of bold experimentation, confidence soared, but the economy had barely moved. Then Roosevelt, fearing inflation, made another mistake. He let the Federal Reserve raise reserve requirements on banks. The money supply contracted. Markets panicked. The second depression hit. Factories closed again. Unemployment soared. My walls echoed with the same grim conversations I had heard under Hoover. And Roosevelt? He never admitted a mistake. He called for more spending, more reform, more control. But the truth settled into my foundations like dust. Something wasn't working. America still loved him. He gave them hope. But hope does not balance ledgers, and slogans do not feed families. Inside my rooms, the optimism was real, but so was the fog. And no one, not even FDR, could see clearly what came next. By 1938, the optimism of the New Deal had worn thin. The economy had dipped, again, after Roosevelt's administration raised bank reserve requirements and tightened federal spending. Businesses stalled, unemployment crept back up, and the White House once more felt the cold draft of uncertainty. But Franklin Roosevelt didn't blink. When the economy faltered, he adjusted. When the courts resisted, he pushed harder. When allies faltered or critics barked, he outmaneuvered them. This wasn't just a president. This was a commander of politics. And then, just as he was preparing to defend a third term, a move no president had dared attempt, something happened that would define him far more than the New Deal ever could. War. On December 7, 1941, the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor. By the next day, FDR stood before Congress and delivered one of the most iconic speeches ever spoken within my walls, a date which will live in infamy. The United States was at war. And Roosevelt, calm, resolute, and unshaken, became not just president of a struggling nation, but commander-in-chief of the free world. From that moment forward, I watched a transformation. Gone were the endless economic experiments and alphabet agencies. In their place, generals, maps, war briefings, urgent telegrams. Roosevelt's brain trust became a war cabinet. His speeches became rallying cries not just for Americans, but for every country resisting tyranny. He coordinated the Allied strategy with Churchill and Stalin, balancing egos and ideologies like a man juggling lit dynamite. He built the arsenal of democracy, directing American industry to shift from cars to tanks, from washing machines to bombers. And it worked. Factories roared to life. Unemployment vanished. The Depression, finally, was over, not because of a stimulus bill or price controls, but because Roosevelt knew how to mobilize a nation. He built the largest military the world had ever seen. He oversaw the planning of D-Day. He prepared America for a two-front war with ruthless determination, while speaking to the public with warmth and clarity. He was not without fault. The internment of Japanese Americans under Executive Order 90066 remains a shameful chapter, He expanded federal power to unprecedented levels. He ignored constitutional norms by running for a third term, then a fourth. But he led. He led. No one else could have guided this country through the darkest war in human history while keeping the nation united and free. In April of 1945, just weeks before Germany surrendered, Roosevelt died at his retreat in Warm Springs. He had served for 12 years, longer than any president before or since. When his body returned to me, the silence inside these walls was deafening. I had seen many presidents, some brilliant, some disastrous, but none who bore as much weight for as long as Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He did not end the Depression with policy. He did not get everything right, but when the world needed steady hands and unshakable courage, he gave both, until the very end. And for that, I will always remember him, not just as a president, but as the man who carried a broken country through fire and left it standing stronger on the other side.